Well, greetings and welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. Welcome to my channel. This is your Hawkeye broadcasting live from Western Canada. Let's see, what is it? 10:30. It's not midnight, not yet. So we're still 10/4, October 4 October 2023. Johnny pulls a Hawkeye. I just wanted to add to some of this. I think Murdoch. Well, before we literally jump right in, I'm just noticing there's some. I'm not always getting notifications, so the fact that I can't remember the last time I was like down just over 300 subscribers. Now I'm being told 344ish. So if you're near here, welcome. I very much appreciate whatever inspired you to hit the subscribe button. That certainly means a lot. We're obviously a very small channel, so thank you very much. Hopefully, I will remember to address the most recent. I'm sure I've missed some comments. I apologize even if you've asked questions and comments and added comments. Thank you so much for that. I know it's not always what's the word? I'm not trying to be incourteous by not responding, but like I say, sometimes, like even per video, it'll even list, and it's not letting me scroll down. Sometimes there'll be 0 comments, and then there'll be a comment. So I don't always. I will do my best to respond in kind and in a relatively timely manner. All right, so we're October 4, 2023. Just want to address. Okay, Rupert Murdoch, low-hanging fruit. But it is certainly not, or certainly something to mention, because we have, where is he? 1931. I love quoting the copy here. What does he say? Rupert, a knight of Malta, Order of St. Gregory. No, Rupert, I like him blonde, Order, Knight of Malta, Order of St. Gregory, blah, so on and so forth, from the Resistance Rising podcast days. But also noting too, jumping down. Where is it? Where is he? Antonin, I got a Logan Scalia. What is it? Crusader Girl has one of Scalia's books in her background. I don't have her ready to pull up at the moment, but the fact that homeboy, so Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, and what was part of his story, and I think in part it was also addressed in, not just in Eaters of Johnny's third book, Eaters of Children, the Hypocrisy Exposed, how access to power is granted through the rape, torture, and ritualistic slaughter of the innocent, but I think it's also addressed in the mythology behind Eaters of Children, which is I want to say approximately 30-minute short by Johnny, dealing with the subject matter surrounding Eaters of Children, and Bill Hicks, Alex Jones, on top of a lot of other material, but also addressing Scalia and was it Knight of Hubertus? Was it John Poindexter? Anyway, rather than just throw some guesses there. So on top of March 11 being both those men's birthdays, there's some other people involved that I think in part this is why important we examine. I'll just add to what Johnny has shared. Most specifically, okay, we'll get to Francis, but where is it? Can you? The so-called influenza pandemic of 1918, 1919. also called the Spanish influenza pandemic or Spanish flu, the most severe influenza outbreak of the 20th century, and in terms of total numbers of deaths, among the most devastating pandemics in human history. Amazing how the history books are going to what we've have been living through these last 3 years, how it's going to be told in the books in a few years from now, and what will appear in books long after I'm gone, long after the everybody who has a direct connection to the events of these last 3 years, 2019 to present. But so anyway, while we're here, we'll just quickly go through this influenza. Yeah, clearly, if this is all what do you say? Preached, taught as truth. Here we go. Germ theory language. Influenza is caused by a virus that is transmitted from person to person through airborne respiratory secretions. So what is this? We're going back to the miasma theory. An outbreak can occur if a new strain ... Okay, throw the patented bullshit, horseshit flags. The influenza pandemic of 1918-19 resulted from such an occurrence affected populations throughout the world. Most of us, I'm sure, can trace back to certain family members that allegedly succumbed to the Spanish flu. I certainly have that in my family, of course. I also know to question the narrative, not just question the narrative, but throw the bullshit flag on the narrative, acknowledging something else clearly was going on. But let's just examine something a little further. Okay, I may have actually gone a little too far. 1918, here we go. One of the most, no, I think I've gone a little too far for this. I know there's a little bit of information here that the prompts, there's probably a little too much to chew off in 5 minutes, but we'll see what we can do. Okay. Purple Death, the Great Flu of 1918. Article was written by Sarah Francis Fujimura. We acknowledge heartily, probably almost every brief, how the name Francis, whenever it's used, is a reference to Jesuit Order Society of Jesus co-founder Francis Xavier, not Franciscan Order founder Francis of Assisi. And of course, Francis of Assisi is the so-called namesake of current Jesuit white Pope Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who's taken the name Francis. Also Francis I being the first Francis in the long line of popes. We recognize all popes, the entire office of the papacy is the little horn power, the so-called Antichrist, identified in the scriptures. Okay, Francis Fujimura. Okay, skipping down. The fact that, of course, and then links, yes, will be left. But I just wanted to hit this. No matter what they called it, the virus attacked everyone similarly. Can I read? Similarly. It started like any other flu case with a sore throat, chills, and fever. Sounds like anything could be this. Okay, then it came the deadly twist. The virus ravaged its victims' lungs. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Despite its name, researchers believe the Spanish flu most likely originated in the United States. One of the first recorded cases was on March 11, 1918, at Fort Riley in Kansas. Overcrowding and unsanitary conditions created a fertile breeding ground for the virus. Okay, so here's, okay, I've stated it. I'll leave it at that rather than going down a whole bunch of certain rabbit trails. I've covered my position on the cholera outbreak, John Snow, the Broad Street Pump, it actually being an event which was testing ground, a one contaminated water source in medium and high density population. So, okay. And nonetheless, we just wanted to hit this. So March 11, 1918, first recorded case of this in the United States. And then, of course, wanting to hit why the relevance of that. Well, the captain had brought up the point of the World Health Organization, founded on Francis Xavier's birthday, April 7, 1948, actually named coronavirus on March 11, 2020. So here we have a Sansuan drumbeat connection, 11 March or 3/11. 3/11, of course. Let's see. You know what? While we're here, Hawkeye, if I can find this quickly, I would like to actually hit this then, because I did cover a number of 3/11s. How y'all doing? Okay, and I'm not sure if this is the exact. I can say if I can find it quickly, then I'll hit it. If not, then no, not this one. No, no, no. Oh my goodness. Okay. Nope. Just in case. Come on, bro. Just because we have, again, this idea of Sansuan drum beats with names, places, and dates. Okay, rather than scroll through all this, let's just hit, so the fact that, skipping back, okay, today, where is it? We have, remember, this was an important timing. Now this came, Joker released in 2019, and it's United States release, so 4 October 2019. The fact we have this film, so you can examine. So Todd Phillips, Scott Silver, both coming from having Jewish backgrounds. Here's this film, supposedly written, credited, and directed, and based by to. It's like back to the idea of, okay, where's the find the Jesuit or find the Roman in the woodpile, and I have not got to that part yet. But I just wanted to acknowledge back to this release date, and release dates being part of the Sansuan drumbeat, because remember, this is the feast day. 4 October is the feast day of Francis of Assisi. Remember, Giovanni di Pietro, so John Peter of Bernardone, was born circa 1181. His death day is 3 October 1226. We've covered this before. Recognize this is 11 years after the signing of the Magna Carta. Just given the context of the time. Remember, Third Order of St. Francis. I'd mentioned recently that Christopher Columbus being of the Third Order of St. Francis. Also, okay, Francis of Assisi, I also want to hit. So Robert, okay, back to this idea of Sansuan drum beats. We have the birthday. So going back to 1542, 1 year prior to the publishing of basically the text, Nicholas Copernicus's text, which you can easily look up. Again, I don't have the name down on the shit. I'm not even going to guess the title. So the Copernican model, published in 1543, the Council of Trent, which began in 1545, but also too, while I'm thinking of it, I might as well hit it. On what is his name? Vesalius Andreas Vesalius. Okay. Well, it's good to have a machine that is responding. Andreas Vesalius, 1543, that a major and important text was published, and I want to get the title of it. So, of course, if you've heard some of my material, of course, I could certainly question germ theory. I speak of, well, then the fact that not just human beings, but all living things are heavily parasitized. And then, of course, in the time of high toxicity, which I do address in my even though they're 2020 blog posts, the two most recent blog posts, again, the last one's published in 2020, address that. But here we go back to 1543, where the human corpse. What would this be for the fabrication of liberty? Humani corpus fabrica. This text, I want to be able to just lay out how large this text is. So book 1, book 2. So, but let's even just examine. Look at this photograph, like how detailed. I also believe in part. So everything learned, like plague doctors. Remember, and I have a quote without a source, and it goes, "What better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?" So the fact that, here we go. So 500 years ago, and there would have been even before that. But the fact that at the time when literally the false reality matrix was, a new reality matrix was being laid out via the Council of Trent. You also have this thorough examination and publication of the human body, literally the human body being taken apart layer by layer by layer, nothing untouched, nothing hidden, and all, to control what I would state or say, my position that yes, the narrative being controlled. And then, of course, Girolamo Fracastro, Paul III, Alessandro Farnese's personal physician, had the Council of Trent moved as a result of a so-called, I believe, a type of plague outbreak. And of course, Fracastro was the source of what would, I think, the use of the first statement as of the arrival of syphilis on the scene. Anyway, that can be examined at a later time. I just wanted to hit that. So for October, we have this film, our present day, but going backwards in time, we have the feast day of Francis of Assisi. We have the birthday of Robert Bellarmine, Society of Jesus. And remember, under Bellarmine, okay, and here we go. The fact that Bellarmine has a death day, 17 September 1621. 17 September, remember, is the feast of the stigmata of Francis of Assisi. What else? Any other relevant date at the time? He's beatified 13 May 1923. 13 May. There's a Fatima connection. Okay, can just leave that there. We have, remember, 4 October. So under Robert Bellarmine, remember who also under Robert Bellarmine supposedly. And let's see, when did he enter the Society of Jesus? That he would promote the cause of the big. Okay. All right. I just wanted to, again, this idea of establishing a context of the popes that would have been. Okay, there's a lot of material there. Okay, what I was getting to was the fact. So futurism and praetorism, essentially under his watch, and then of course that falling under Mercurian and Claudio Acquaviva, Jesuit generals. And then, of course, who came after Acquaviva? I believe it was Muzio Vitelleschi. And again, around that time, too, the appearance of two important texts or letters or texts that Rosicrucianism arrived on the scene that are dated approximately 16. I want to say 1615, but that's is certainly an aside. Okay, now we're changing gears. Teresa of Avila, Saint Teresa of Avila, or Teresa of Jesus, Thanos of Avila, Thanos of Jesus. Remember her incorruptible hand, the Marvel karmic universe is the source of the Thanos gauntlet. Her death date, 4 October 1582. And then, of course, her confessor, we would learn, was, oh my goodness, why am I? The source of futurism, which was Francisco Ribera under Robert Bellarmine. Okay. Her death on 4 October 1582 began, or the Gregorian calendar. So the Julian transferred to the Gregorian the very day Teresa of Avila died. So very, very significant. So 4 October 1582. Okay. So going back again, October 4 in our time, 2019, you have you have the release of this film, because it's a big effing joke. And remember, who plays this character? You have Joaquin Phoenix. And where's his tab? We've covered this before. Back to this idea of they're just there. Drum beats. 28 October is Phoenix's birthday. Yes. Loaded family scenario. Yes, with the death of his brother, 31 October 1993, River Phoenix. But here we go, 28 October. Remember, you have the birthday of third Jesuit Superior General Francis Borgia. Of course, his death date, 30 September 1572. And of course, back to this, which we've presented before, feast day, 30th September. So a lot of drum beats that come together just in the release of this film. And remember, in 2019, remember on Lorenzo Ricci's birthday, August 2nd, also the signing of the Declaration of Independence Day, August 2nd, you had the Hobbs and Shaw film being released, which involved in part of the plot the CT-17 virus, codenamed Snowflake, also affectionately called Unicorn and or Snowflake, depending on if you're listening to the scene or if you're watching the scene, because what's said and what's shown is very different. Okay, we covered walk-in. Now, if you something that comes up in this film, in Joker, 3 specific times that clocks are shown. It's 11:11, or it can be read as either 2:11, and I also want, there's a reason why I wanted to bring up 3:11 if I could find it, because again, there was a distinct Tom Hanks connection. I'm not going to find it. I don't want to spend the time to get pissed off, frustrated, then pissed off trying to find it. But do you remember at the time in 2020, Tom Hanks and his wife were in so-called quarantine, and it was like the day that he tweeted that very cryptic photo tweeted, or I don't know if it was Instagram, the photo of the garbage can and the glove half in, half out, if I remember correctly. And after publishing a series of very, very cryptic and very dark humor, doesn't describe it, but always that there's a sinister overtone, even pedophilic overtones. But on 3/11/2020, Hanks, I believe I want to say Australia, posted a photo, and then it was like, and then the World Health Organization changed the coronavirus to the name coronavirus to COVID-19. Okay, so back to Joker. What we were being and the social engineering in Joker. So 3 times the clock said 11:11. Okay, so essentially it was 2:11 or 11:11, but 3 times. Could that be translated as 3:11? Well, what's fascinating. No, remember, what's the context? These aren't just symbols, images, clock faces, all on their own. But remember, signs and symbols taken together can create a story, create a narrative. But the fact that you have Robert De Niro. What does De Niro mean? Robert the Black, who is speaking to Joaquin Phoenix. Remember, who has the same birthday as Francis Borgia, third Jesuit Superior General. So you have Robert De Niro, okay, significant historical figure, because many what was it, Morgan Freeman in the National Geo doc that claim, or so anyway, I've got a snippet posted on my channel that anyway, Nero is supposedly the Antichrist. So that's that. Praetorism. It's fulfilled. It's done. It's Nero. Nero's the one that was to come. It's and the case closed. So we have Robert De Niro, Robert the Black. You have Joaquin Phoenix, and then you throughout the film 3 specific times there is a clock that's shown. So now we have the time that Joaquin Phoenix is Arthur Fleck, Arturo Fleck, Arthur Fleck. So now we're getting a play on names here now too. Arturo Fleck or Arthur Fleck, Arturo Sosa is invited to make appearance on, where is it? The Murray Franklin show, the Murray Francis show. But okay, what I want to point to while we're here, there is, I believe, supposedly a clock here. However, it's in some ways it's indiscernible, and in that regard, it's essentially, it nullifies itself. If you cannot make it out within a second, it does not apply. However, we're going to jump to a clock that comes after this. So the fact that this film 3 specific times you get 11:11, and where is it? And Joaquin Phoenix, Francis Borgia connection is in a scene with Robert De Niro, Robert the Black, Nero being the Antichrist in the Praetor's view, and his name is Murray Francis. And where is it? There's a clock that appears within this scene, and look at this. We have a 10, and we have an in between the 7 and the 8. So the thing is, when you see 10, 10, 7, 10, 8, we have 26 Jesuit Superior General, October 7. Okay, connection, Vladimir Ledachowski. And then 10, 8, we have I know that in other sources we're given 10, 9 as well. So October 8th or October 9th, we have the death date anniversary of Jean Joseph Marie Amiot. John Joseph Mary Amiot, French Jesuit priest who worked in King China during the reign of, okay, essentially the air quotes, the translator of Sun Tzu's 13 articles, also known as Art of War. And as we've stated many, many times, in agreement with Frederick Topper-Saussure III, the Jesuit Freemason who published that John Joseph Marie Amiot's text was actually the voice of Lorenzo Ricci, 18th Jesuit Superior General, releasing the military treaties published one year prior to the suppression of the Society of Jesus in 1773. That text was basically a handbook to prepare the Jesuits spread all over the flat earth and for what was to come in significantly, or the significant point being the creation of the United States of America. Okay, we covered Borgia, we covered Phoenix, Jean Joseph Mariano, Joker, Francis of Assisi, Teresa of Avila, Bellarmine. Okay, so bringing this home, we want to get back to current day. Our current, again, our air quotes, our current Pope, not ma Pope, Jorge George Mario Bergoglio, current white Pope. Bergoglio found his vocation to the priesthood while he was on his way to celebrate the spring day. He passed by a church to go to confession and was inspired by the priest. Bergoglio studied at the Archdiocesan Seminary. There's the name, the Immaculate Conception Seminary, in Villa Devoto, Buenos Aires, and after 3 years entered the Society of Jesus as a novice, 11 March 1958. Bergoglio said that as a young seminarian, he had a crush on a girl. Girls and crushes. Crush on a girl he met and briefly doubted about continuing the religious career. As a Jesuit novice, he studied humanities in Santiago, Chile. After his novitiate in the Society of Jesus, Bergoglio officially became a Jesuit on 12 March 1960, when he made the religious profession of the initial perpetual vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience of a member of the order. And skipping down, we all want to acknowledge the 2013 paper conclave. So back to this idea, though. Bergoglio entered the Society of Jesus 11 March 1958. I'm sorry. And yes, and entered the Society of Jesus and gave his vows 12 March, 2 years later. Almost 2 years to the exact day of the Gregorian calendar. Now back to, oh shit, I think I've passed it. No, here we go. So Bergoglio was elected Pope on 13 March. So here we have this succession, this distinct succession of days, 11, 12, 13. Remember, Bergoglio was elected Pope on 13 March 2013, the second day of the 2013 Papal Enclave, okay, which began March 12 or 12 March, taking the papal name Francis. So the fact that we have, back to these connections of names, places, and dates, the Spanish flu, 1918, the first recorded case, 11 March 1918, current day in 2020, 11 March 2020, the World Health Organization, which again founded Francis Xavier's birthday, 7 April 1948, renamed coronavirus. Remember, what is corona? Corona triumphalis. It's a mindset, a triumphal mindset. Like we effectively put on the Roman wreath instead of the helmet of salvation. Many took, whether they wear the helmet of salvation or not, from Ephesians 6, the armor of Yahweh, the armor of God. So 11 March 1918. So 11 March 2020 again, the renaming of coronavirus to COVID-19, and it's all a big joke. And I've even, in part, back to my even Hawkeye blog, that the fact that the Joker mask, the Joker face, is actually, it's a refashioned Guy Fawkes mask, and then of course, which would become in part the mask that was worn throughout these last 3 years, which is still being worn. Let's also, while we're here, we'll also add this too, the John Ogilvie SJ. So back to March 11 March. So this idea of time zones when events happened. So, Scottish Jesuit martyr from his work as a priest in the service persecuted Catholic community in 17th century Scotland, and being hanged for his faith, he became the only post-Reformation Scottish saint. And this is just as so states Wikipedia. And why did I bring this up? Because Ogilvie, family partly Roman Catholic, partly Presbyterian. And I want to, where is it? It's particularly he has an interesting, okay, so there's this image, apparently, so the Jesuit John Ogilvie, who was publicly hanged and drawn on 10 March 1615 in Glasgow. Okay, well, finding other sources, he was hanged, but was he drawn? So here we go. The Ogilvie's last words were, "If there be any hidden Catholics, let them pray for me, but the prayers of heretics I will not have." After he was pushed from the stairs, he threw his concealed rosary out into the crowd. It's funny, as you read this, you can almost see Mel Gibson's Braveheart. Well, we also, well, as we've covered before, I think it was 23 August 13. The death of the drawing and quartering of William Wallace. Okay, nonetheless, jumping back to this, if they're out into the crowd, according to legend, one of his enemies caught it and subsequently became a devout, lifelong Catholic. After his execution, Ogilvie's followers were rounded up, put in jail. They suffered heavy fines. None received the death penalty. Oh shit! There's another account. The way he was hung. And to speed up the hanging, like it was a gracious way of being hanged, not just hung and to die of the asphyxiation, not having this the spine snap, but hanging, and then to speed up the process, the executioner, I think what jumped on him or grabbed his legs and pulled and created the snap that eventually ended Ogilvie's life. But the fact that we have a Jesuit, back to this idea of why March 10, March 11, March 12, March 13, effectively leading again to the Ides of March, so to 15 March. Why would certain things happen on certain dates? Now, of course, this is only, again, just through names, places, and dates, applying what we know, again, Sun Tzu and drum beats, but with the fact that we have a Francis connection, we have a Spanish flu connection, and okay, why do I have Buffalo? There's a reason I have Buffalo Soldier. So back to this Fort Riley, where the first recorded case in 1918. There's a reason I have this. 1887, Fort Riley became the site of the United States Cavalry School, the famous all-black 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments, the soldiers of which were called Buffalo Soldiers. So that just reminded me of good old Bob Marley and the Wailers, Buffalo Soldier. But the fact that here we are, Fort Riley, in 1918, on 11 March 1918, the first recorded case. Just literally 102 years prior to the day. 102. There we go. There's even our mirrored 201. From event 201 to the 201 Jesuits given safe harbor during the suppression of the Society of Jesus. Catherine the Great giving safe harbor to 201. I've stated that in part the 201st Jesuit was Lorenzo Ricci, who was still alive, making his way after the signing of the Declaration of Independence on his 73rd birthday. Remember, the United States of America was a gift he gave to himself on his 73rd birthday. Completion, job well done. August 2nd, 1776. And after the signing, the major signing, he made his way through Spain, through Europe, and into Russia to join, for the rest of his days, the 200 Jesuits. Anyway, that's just your Hawkeye's position, but that's certainly for another time. Okay, I think I just wanted to hit. Those are points I just wanted to hit. So again, back to the fact that here we are, significant day, anniversary day, on Robert Bellarmine, Jesuit Robert Bellarmine's birthday, and the feast day of Francis of Assisi. Okay, what am I missed? Look at this. All the all those who have joined. Hey! Mr. Alex. Let's see. Newest besides top. Okay, back to this. I figured that out at some point. Huge suspicion that Hebrew root sacred name movement could very well be Jesuitical. Hebrew root sacred name. You might have to elaborate on that. Analysis in 1980 flu should trace it to Fort Riley, training telegraph operators. Yep. There we go. Back to this idea of EMF, EMR, electrical, the grid, which we've covered many, many times. Which what the Invisible Rainbow by Arthur? Is it Furstenberg? Again, recognizing, I think there's the Jewish background, but also it was noted, I think George. Well, if you get the book, it's inevitable. You're going to see it in the about the author. He's a member of one of the three the Greek letter fraternities. So he's certainly plugged in. I'm not sure if this should come as a surprise. Roots. What it's funny. What isn't Jesuitical at this point? But at the same time, remember, every what is it? Every great lie runs parallel to the truth. So there's certainly truth in lies that certainly gain traction. Who are the names in this movement? Yeah, I'm here late, but here a string. Anyway, just want to acknowledge Benjamin, Alex, Teresa, blessings. Hawk always calls out the drum beats. Nice work. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, hey, but in part, that's what we have. Looking through history, we examine history because remember, who was it that the statement that's certainly tried, tested, and true. Those that don't know their history are certainly doomed to repeat it, and this is clearly happens again and again and again. When do we, as a majority, learn and then implement what has been learned in the past? And man, clearly the majority sleepwalking. But then again, what does Scripture say? The whole world will wonder after the beast. Phoenix has the same birthday as Gates and Salk. Yep. Yeah. There's also Dmitry Ivanovsky. There's a number of other October 28th birthdays as well. Pat Fitz, Narina, thank you so much. And I'm forgetting. Oh, who is it that has breakfast listening to? Well, you know what? It's probably not late enough here or early enough, or late enough in the morning for Homeboy Across the Water. So if you're catching this, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on your handle. Oh my goodness! I feel like a royal dumbass for missing a particular name. Anyway, why I'm also okay. While I'm here, I'm going to see if I can find quickly. No. Well, how about this? The fact, look at this. The Rivers and the Rise of Joker Phoenix. Okay, so I do in part cover, but I believe I also cite from Johnny's. Like there's a chapter devoted to River Phoenix, his life in part and death specifically in Eaters of Children, the Producracy Exposed, Dirty Dancing, the White and the Black Popes. How about this? The fact, if I remember right, 1980, what is it, 87, Dirty Dancing, Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey, Swayze, the late Patrick Swayze. The fact, so what's his name? Johnny something, Swayze's character, but in black and in part in white, Jennifer Grey's character, that you throughout the film, her name is Baby. And it's only, if I'm not mistaken, it's only in the deleted scene that you learn that her name is Frances. No. My goodness, I did cover. You know what? Why don't I just jump into this just in case? Nope. Check this out. This is Stephanie Seneff. I want to say it's either an April 19th or April 20th birthday, but she's gray hair. I respect the fact that, given her age, the fact that she is still creating, writing, researching. Yes, has an MIT background. Actually, maybe even current MIT. Not a tenureship, but anyway, phenomenal work. But the fact that glyphosate destructively substitutes as glycine and protein synthesis. If you have the time, take a few minutes, check this out. There's a fascinating, certainly something fascinating that we're all experiencing today, on top of other ailments. Okay. Oh, this is pissing me off. I'm sorry, because I did cover in part 311, and there's a Hanks connection and some other cinematic points. Anyway, all right, Grev. What did I miss? Eaters of Children. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up pretty quick. So if there's any specific questions, I love the fact that you thank you so much for the comments, for checking in. Yeah, just acknowledging again. Yeah, Phoenix, Walk in Phoenix, as Bill Gates, Jonas Salk, Francis Borgia, Dmitry Ivanovsky, and one of the founders of virology. My position, which I don't see changing, is that I believe the Pasteur, I'm going to say Bellarmine. Oh my goodness, why am I forgetting this? Béchamp narrative was actually a cover-up, intentionally timed Anthony, and come on, get the name, Anthony Van. Oh my goodness, why am I? Wow, this is very frustrating in my own mind. There we go. Fuck. Okay, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. The Béchamp Pasteur narrative was specifically designed to cover up Anthony Philips van Leeuwenhoek's work. Again, that is certainly another topic for another time. I don't have a very, very well, would be the word? the idea of a well established and rooted position on that's where I've been at for a little while now, and I don't foresee that changing. But back to October 28th, we have Ivanovsky, Dmitry Iosovich Ivanovsky, Russian botanist. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Okay, the fact that where is it? Not just Ukraine connection. Okay, investigate the tobacco. So tobacco mosaic virus, and then back to this October 4 date. Okay, now we're jumping around. There's a Jonas Salk connection, and it's not just. Oh, I'm forgetting her name. October 4. Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks. The immortal. Here is certainly some further uncomfortable subject matter. And it's disappeared. And will it come back? That's an interesting detail because Lorenzo Ricci, I've also found have a source that does say August 1st. It's 1703 is his birthday, so 18 Jesuit Superior General. But her death date anniversary, or her death date, back to this October 4. So today, just like Robert Bellarmine's birthday, feast day of Francis of Assisi, and the death day of Teresa of Avila. So this idea, back to this, the Thanos gauntlet and the 6 infinity stones, Henrietta Lacks and her HeLa cells, if any of us have received any kind of injection, here is an uncomfortable truth. We all bear Henrietta Lacks' cells, her HeLa cells. And on this ongoing, you can examine this story. You don't need to get into it here, but this certainly, the fact that she shares a death date with one Teresa of Avila, the snap of the Thanos gauntlet back in 1582, so that the time stone, the soul stone, all the other stones, I might as well. HeLa being the sister of, where is it? Search. I just want to look up the Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok. Surtur destroys Asgard. Surtur versus HeLa. We have this scene. And of course, there's certainly meaning behind the scene. Of course, for us, our good brother, I don't want to say disappeared brother, but Roy's brother is the voice of Surtur. So certainly a close connection to this character. We have HeLa, the sister of One Eye, the son of One Eye. And but of course, back to this idea of shit's coming down. The 10 kings without kingdoms will turn on the harlot, burn her with fire, and tear her to pieces. The sword goes right through HeLa. So they know what's coming. And certainly there's a time. And we pray for come soon. May it happen soon. And however, what part we will play. But here we are, in part, names, places, and dates. All right. These are children. These astronomers used the British Navy records of the wooden ships era. Yeah, there's certainly something to that. I think it certainly goes forward. There's the idea of ships being certainly containment zones, as just as we, you know what, I don't even think I covered it, but the U.S. Navy 2019 mumps, the Fort McHenry, and this story was also published. I believe it was March. It was even March. It was March 11th or March 12th, potentially even March 13th. I'm sorry. It's one of these. The fact, though, that almost 1 year to the day. So we have a date connection to Jesuit Pope Francis as a major Sansuan drumbeat. So in 2019, we have this event that happens. Now, I believe, again, I believe it wasn't just March 13. I think it may have been March 11 or March 12. But we have on the Fort McHenry, USS Fort McHenry, the ambitious, that too, warship have been diagnosed with perioditis, which caused symptoms similar to mumps, according to U.S. military officials. So this, of course, what do I say? This idea of an isolated group, and of course, as we've covered the WSR 88D, but also what were ships used for back in this so-called age of discovery? Was it something very similar, just as you've stated? And I certainly agreement. Whether crews were what they were restricted by, with what they were subjected to. The scurvy narrative, I don't think it holds water. There's certainly something more was going on what happened to people when they were deficient in certain things, but what also was going on. And then, of course, the recorded and subsequent published narrative of how disease was spread throughout the flat Earth, and then, of course, involving. So there's the indigenous narrative, the so-called blankets and smallpox and so on, which we do not. The narrative does not hold water, of course, because we do not ascribe to the germ theory at all. Anyway, but the fact that here we have 2019, and then later that year, we have on August 2nd, a particular film of a so-called virus that liquefies your organs, and told in a / comedy, Hobbs and Shaw, of part of the Fast and Furious series of shit films. And then as the CT17 virus, also known as Snowflake the Unicorn. And then later that year in October with the release of Joker, and then Event 201, October 18, 2019. Then what would happen in China in December. And then, of course, the Dr. Li Wenliang, I believe it was December 30th, 2019, so-called whistleblower goings on in China, and then which led to so-called well, I'm sure we all remember it at some point, or wherever we were, place we are now are all Jesuit now, participating in a whether we wanted to or not, an Ignatian spiritual exercise, the cave experience, which essentially began 11 March 2020. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. What else do we got? Anyway, okay. Thank you so much for being here, for subscribing. What else? Where's my channel? Okay, so let's see. Addressing so-called Mark N. Foley. Thanks for posting this. Yes, remember that was up. So I downloaded the on Eric's channel. It was the audio was so low. I I can't remember how many times I copied and pasted the audio file, maybe a half a dozen, maybe more times to get a audio boost, and then exported it, re-uploaded it to my channel. Hope I didn't ask for permission, Eric 777. I'm sure you're fine with it, but apologies, I did not ask for your permission. But there it is up on my channel with much better sound. But it's at the same time, it's great information. But remember, it's also coming from 2018, because somebody had asked for, thank you, please stop with the constant up and down. Remember, we're going back in time. I believe this is we were more or less new to streaming. So of course, presentation, yes, in part is next to audio. I would say audio is everything. Visual presentation is second in line. All right, Troglodyte, great. Ordered Amiot's translation of Sun Tzu. Good for you. You know what? I hope you're. If I'm not mistaken, you are French speaking. I hope you can actually get it in en français. That would be amazing if you have access to that, because clearly it's even, hey, the issues of translations, there's certainly a loss. Mac City, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Arena. Yeah, no, Eric 777 is a young, I think he's mid-20s now. I'm trying to think of when we met, 2018-ish, 2018, either 21 years old, 21 at that time. So certainly still in his 20s, but man, I just like him and the young Gideon, Nicholas, both young, good heads on their shoulders. If you're ever checking this out, Nicholas, come on back, bro. Come on back. Maybe there's a time for an apology for that too. What I think we were thinking as a good brotherly ribbing, maybe an offense was taken, and that's led to too much time gone under it's certainly not water under the bridge, but too much time has passed. Mark, thank you. Anyway, again, appreciate if you've somehow been inspired to subscribe. Thank you very much. Okay, if I've missed anything, I certainly try and track things down. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Let's see, what have I missed? Anything? Yeah, it's not just, it's not just the scurvy narrative. There's much more going on there, as you know, and I think would agree. Okay. Couldn't have been affected through epidemic. I don't understand what they couldn't have been affected through it. Well, it's also defining what is influenza like. Let's say like the term. It's such a broad, like what? A person has a flu. Oh, they must have influenza. Or they have a fever. Or they must have. It's so very broad. Anyway, hey. You're welcome, Narina. Thank you. Okay, this is your Hawkeye. Okay, October 4. Feast day of Francis of Assisi, amongst other things. Henrietta Lacks, Teresa of Avila, Gregorian calendar from the Julian, the Teresa of what have I'll probably forget. Anyway. There we go. But they were always exposed to the sun, of course. Remember, but yeah, the sunshine being good, but when can sunshine affect a person negatively? Absolutely. Well, remember, what does sunshine do? Sunshine provokes life, provokes growth. It is an antiseptic. It is, what does sunlight do? Like, back to this idea of what is food? Food is Food is essentially captured sunlight. So if a person eats good things, sunlight can provoke good things in a person. If a person eats, of course, again, I know this is very loose, very broad. What is a bad thing? Depending on what a person eats, or what a person, it's not just now eating. There's it's like what accompanies that food. And of course, I've certainly gone down from personal experience, as I've openly discussed, passing a shit ton, no pun intended, of worms, which is having a many since 2018, early 2018 WTF moments. And if I'm just a regular dude, imagine what a common person has in them. And we don't just go through the process of having a so-called health practitioner deworm our pets. Certainly something we've stopped doing as families. The classic, and this, of course, part of the Jennifer Daniels, as crazy as sometimes she can sound, and whatever part her part is in the narrative, she certainly hit something very, very profoundly with the turpentine candida protocol. But that I would also say, as one who has done the turpentine and sugar as she had prescribed, that there's certainly, in the state we are in today, the common person, as toxic as we are, turpentine and sugar is ineffective. It might be effective, whether it's a little bit, it might be better than nothing. But it is, we are certainly way past that. What's needed in order to clear one just from mold, heavy metals, the multitude, a plethora of other toxins, and then of course the reason why a person would be heavily parasitized, which is certainly, and then of course this idea of, it's not just the human beings and our own cells interacting with the EMF, EMR environment, but the organisms, the trophic chain taking place within an individual. And anyway, fascinating subject matter. And then back to this idea, the fact that every single person, we bear HeLa cells. If you've ever had an injection, you don't just have horseshoe crab blood, but HeLa cells, interlinked, cells interlinked within cells interlinked. All right, this is your Hawkeye. I love you very much. Blessings. I love you, and Jesus loves you. I know you know that. And if you don't know that, well, I'm telling you, you are loved. And there's a purpose for you being here. There's a purpose within this craziness, this storm, wherever you're at, whether amongst family, amongst friends, whether you're alone and trying to figure things out. But certainly if you're one of, however you've arrived, gotten here, and gotten to this point, hey, I'm glad you're out there. And as just to quote the captain, to quote Johnny, resistance. Take heart, because yes, resistance, and not only is resistance rising, but remember whom the one that literally went to hell, descended to hell and returned, was resurrected after 3 days and 3 nights, and now holds the keys to death and Hades. All right, this is your Hawkeye.